Welcome to Rich Tone Music. I'm Pod, again. Today I thought we'd take a look at intonation. What is it, how much is it, and where can I get some? It's all over here. Intonation is very simply making sure that all of those notes play the notes they ought to on your guitar. You would think that it would probably be pretty straightforward or even built in, but a lot of things can change that. Strings, how the guitar is set up and all sorts of things. So we'll just have a quick run through one or two things that you ought to pay attention to. So basically, how do you check if your intonation is right? Well, if you play the open string, in this case I'll just play the E, if you play that at the 12th fret, you can usually hear it should be an exact octave above the open string. Easy peasy. Now then, a number of things can make that not quite the case, and they can all be adjusted. One of the things, the position of the bridge is, broadly speaking, it's roughly done. It's kind of put there because that's roughly speaking twice that distance. Now, all of the frets, you've no control over where they are. You just have to trust that your manufacturer's put them in the right place. And let's be honest, they will be in the right place because the maths that tells them where to put that is as ancient as you can imagine. Now, the most obvious thing that can affect whether the intonation's right or not, whether it plays in tune up here as it does down there, the most obvious thing is the strings. 9 times out of 10, if somebody brings a guitar to you and says, "My intonation is all gone," just a change of strings will see right, because as strings get old, they get bits of unmentionable stuff on them, they get bits missing where underneath you can feel, if you just pick a string up and run your fingers down like that, not on this because this is a new guitar, but you can feel little bumps underneath the D string where the string has been worn by the fret. If you can feel that, then those strings really need changing. What happens is the intonation goes right out. So that's thing number one. If you've changed the strings and you still feel that it's not quite right, there are a number of things that you can check. First thing you need to do really though is to check to see that the guitar's playing how you want it, because if the action, that's the distance of the strings above the fingerboard, is quite high, then the effect of putting your finger down to fret a note will be bending the string very slightly, exactly as if you'd got the note fretted and you went and bent it up. So you can only really set the intonation properly if you've got that out of the way. Go see your local guitar tech if you need that doing, although you can do it yourself, I'm sure. So the other thing to bear in mind is that gauges of string will change intonation. So if you go from 9s to 10s to 11s, you may find you need to tweak the intonation. This is because it's dependent on the thickness of the steel that's in the string. Not the thickness of the string itself, in the case of, say, the bottom E string, but the thickness of the core inside. That's why you tend to get a typical pattern on something like this. It's quite easy to see on something like a Fender guitar like this, where the saddles are all individual. You get front, middle, back, front, middle, back. That's because more or less you could do that by eye and it would be about right. Now, about right's not good enough for us, is it? Let's do it properly. I've got a tuner here, which hopefully Camera Dan will be able to zoom in on. By the way, say hi, Camera Dan. Hey, good man, not too much, thank you. Right, I've got a tuner here which you should be able to see. We've picked this one because it's got a nice bright screen. If I use this to just get myself up to tune, if I push the string down at 12th fret there, oh, can you see that? It's a little bit over. That's a bang on green light. That's green light with just a shade of red. Now that shows that that string is a little sharp at that end. If the string is sharp, that means this distance is a bit too short. If that were flat, it would mean that distance is a bit too long. So what you need to do is just adjust it. Screwdriver. And you have to guess. You do have to guess. Retune and check. There we go. That's more like it. We're getting there. There we are. 2 little tips. It's better to do intonation with a plugged-in tuner. This is a great one. because obviously you can see this from space. The other thing is, in order to make the note as pure as possible and cut out all sorts of distracting overtones for the tuner, it's best to pick the neck pickup, and if you have a tone control, to roll that right off, because what that does is it cuts out all the high frequencies which can confuse it, so you get a really pure note coming out, and the tuner loves that, and it makes it a lot easier, and the tuner will usually behave a lot more steadily when you do that. Now the other thing to bear in mind is I'm holding it this way. You might see people checking their intonation that way. You've got to check it in the playing position, and try and show you why. If you look at the tuner there, if I play the G, just get it in. There, that's showing green. Have you got that down? Right, watch what happens when I lay this on its back. Oh, what happened there? It went horrendously sharp. Oh, it's come back again. What happens when I do this? Lean it forward. My word, it's gone flat. Just the weight of the headstock can bend the neck just a little bit to make it go out of tune. You need to know that the guitar's going to play in tune when you're playing it, not when it's sat on your lap. So if you do that, the other thing I wanted to show you, again, if you can hit the tuner down. So now I'm holding it in the playing position. I'll just tweak the tuning so that it's more obvious. Right, now I'm going to fret this note at the top. Now it is a little sharp, but I hope you can be able to see what happens when I do this. Whoa, see that go up? That's the open string in tune. That's a little sharp. That's way sharp. What's happening? I'm pushing harder. You can't set your intonation if you're cross. You can set your intonation absolutely bang on like that, and then you can go on stage and get excited, and it'll all go out because you're gripping the neck a bit more strongly than you would do usually. So make sure that your action's set right, then you're not pulling the string any further than you need to. Make sure that you hold it in the right position and you push just the right amount to what you normally would do. If you do that, if it's too sharp here, it's too near. If it's too flat there, it's too far away. Quick adjustment like that, you should end up with something that looks vaguely like forward, middle, back for a regular set of strings, and you're about there. And remember, don't play cross. I'm going to leave it at that for now, because I've bored you for long enough. Thank you to Dan for doing the camera, and thank you to you for listening. If indeed you have been listening, not just shopping on the internet while I was talking. Until next time I think we're going to look at the language of trees. Until that time, may the forks be with you.